We've known for some time, in fact Charlotte Dravet showed, that the mortality in Dravet syndrome is quite high. It's about 17% by 20 years of age, and that's a rather terrifying figure for families. We know that up to half of those deaths are due to SUDEP, which means sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. And that's where the patient's often found dead in bed in the morning, a terrifying thought. We have thought that this is related to seizures, and it probably is, that the seizure stops the breathing, which then stops the heart. And we've been doing some work trying to find out what's behind that, trying to find genes, etc. And we're still working on that with a little bit of progress, but a long way to go. This year we published another important cause of death in children with Dravet syndrome. And this is where they have an episode of Statusepilepticus, which is a prolonged seizure. And they end up in the intensive care unit, and then they don't wake up as they should, and they have massive brain swelling, and they die after 5 or so days with multi-organ failure. And we think this is something special about Dravet syndrome. We don't know if it extends to the other sodium channelopathies, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did, or sodium channel diseases. And we need to think about a way of addressing this aggressively to try and prevent death for these children. I think it's vital that the families help with research. We can't do it without them. And the families bring such enthusiasm and commitment to research. And I hope that our research helps them directly back. So I always thank the families, but I can't tell them how important it is that they give their time and energy. That my families often come from many hours away in Australia to do whatever we ask of them. And I know it's really hard. They have a sick child, they have a family to manage, and yet they still come and give their time to helping us to try and figure out what's going on. So I see it very much as a collaborative relationship. My families help the research, and I hope the research helps the families, and I mean that for families all over the world. I think families have to allow themselves the journey of grief and sadness about this diagnosis, because it is a big diagnosis, and one can't just say it's epilepsy, it's mild, don't worry about it, because it isn't mild, it's a serious diagnosis. On the other hand, I think being positive in life is how you get through, and it's important to be resilient. And that's where the family networks and associations and Facebook groups are so helpful, as long as you use them the right way and you don't get bogged in the small print, but find the bits that help you and your family to manage your child. So I think what's really positive is this network, this understanding of the disease as it's growing and how we can help it. And one of the most exciting aspects at the moment are the new therapies that are being developed for Dravet syndrome. We haven't quite got it. Fenfluramine looks very exciting, but I think there'll be other equally exciting gene therapy trials. So I think there's lots to be positive about, but I think we have to be fair and say it's a journey for these families, and they will have times when it's hard to be positive, and that's okay too, because it's a human journey and we have to allow ourselves to be human about it.